I left at 3 this morning. I'd originally told myself I was going to wait until sunrise so I could actually see what I was doing. But the more I thought about it, the less that made sense. It's still hot here by mid-morning, and I wanted as much driving done as possible before the sun had a chance to turn the bus into a rolling crock-pot. So I got up at 2, made coffee, did one last walk around the outside with a flashlight, checked the tires, checked the water setup, checked the locks even though I already knew they were locked, and left a little after 3. It felt strange pulling out that early. Not bad. Just strange. I've spent so long working on this bus while it was parked that actually driving away in it, really leaving, not just test driving or moving it around, felt weirdly anticlimactic. Like I should have had some big dramatic thought about it. And instead I was mostly just trying to make sure I hadn't forgotten anything obvious. Phone charger, wallet, keys, water bottle, dog bowl. I don't have a dog. I don't know why my brain offered me that one. That's probably a sign I need more sleep than I got. Anyway, the roads were quieter than they would have been at a normal hour, but not quiet enough for 3 in the morning. There were still plenty of cars out, and more than a few of them looked packed down. Suitcases, storage bins, coolers, things stacked in the back seat up to the windows. Maybe that doesn't mean anything. People travel. People move. People go to Disney with more luggage than should be legally allowed. But it didn't feel normal. It felt like people trying not to look like they were leaving. I'm heading north, not taking the interstate unless I absolutely have to, and avoiding 27 too. I know it would probably be faster in stretches, but faster doesn't help me much if I get pinned between a bunch of other people all trying to go the same direction with nowhere to pull off. I'd rather take the slower route and keep my options. That's basically the whole strategy right now. Not speed. Options. Places to stop if something feels off. Places to turn around if traffic backs up. Less chance of getting stuck in a lane next to a bunch of people I don't know with no way out except forward. It's not the most fuel-efficient plan, and I'm aware of that. I've done the math enough times now that I'm tired of my own spreadsheets. But I'd rather burn a little more gas and stay flexible than save fuel and get trapped somewhere stupid because I wanted to be efficient. There were more police out too. Not every few minutes or anything like that, but enough that I noticed. More cruisers parked in medians, more headlights sitting in turn lanes, more vehicles pulled off on the shoulder than I'd expect at that hour. I passed one gas station where there were 2 sheriffs and an ambulance parked off to the side. No lights on, just there. I couldn't tell if they were dealing with something or waiting for something. That seems to be the theme lately. A lot of waiting for things no one wants to say out loud. I kept the radio off most of the drive, mostly because I didn't want to listen to the same 5 songs I always hear, but also because I wanted to hear the bus. I'm still getting used to how everything sounds when it's fully loaded, where the cabinets rattle, what's normal road noise and what's a problem, whether the fridge is going to decide to start humming like it's personally offended by motion. So far everything's been fine. A few squeaks. One drawer I thought I'd secured apparently had other ideas, so that slid open at one point and scared me half to death because I was fully convinced for about 2 seconds that something important had broken loose behind me. It was a spatula. I nearly pulled over because of a spatula. So, great start. I'm planning to stop around 8 to fuel up, stretch, use the bathroom, and check everything over before I keep going. I've got enough gas to get farther, but I'd rather not let it get low if I don't have to, and I want to make sure nothing shifted in the back while I was driving. I also need to start thinking about tonight. I'm not going to make it out of Florida today, not unless I want to drive myself into the ground, and I don't. So at some point in the next few hours I need to figure out where I'm comfortable stopping for the night. I thought about rest areas, but I don't love the idea of getting woken up and told to move at midnight because I parked somewhere too long. A truck stop might make more sense, even if I don't love being around that many people. I don't know. I'll decide later. Right now the sun's just starting to come up, and everything still looks normal enough that I can almost convince myself that I'm overreacting. Almost. I pulled off just after 8. There was a gas station off the road that looked big enough to handle a lot of traffic, which is what made it feel like the safest option. I didn't want something small and quiet to be my first stop out here. Quiet feels more exposed right now than busy does. It was already hotter than I wanted it to be, even that early. I parked near the pumps where there were already a few other larger vehicles. 2 RVs, a box truck, and a couple SUVs that looked like they'd been packed in a hurry. People were moving around, but not in a rushed way. More like everyone had decided this was just what travel looks like now. That's the closest way I can describe it. Not panic, just adjustment. I kept the engine running for a minute longer than I needed to, just listening to everything settle. Then shut the engine off and went through my usual checks. Straps, cabinets, fridge latch. Nothing had moved, which is good because I still don't fully trust the idea that things stay put when you're driving long distances. The first thing I noticed once I stepped out was how many people were watching the pumps instead of the road. Not staring exactly, just paying attention in a way people usually don't at gas stations. Everyone seemed to be doing math in their heads. How much fuel they had, how far they could go, whether they should stop again or just keep moving. Inside it was worse. Not loud, just full. The kind of full where you have to wait your turn for everything, even simple things like coffee or the restroom. There were a few empty shelves near the snacks. Nothing drastic, but enough that I noticed it wasn't restocked the way it usually would be at this time of day. I overheard someone at the counter asking if they were expecting more deliveries today, and the employee just said they didn't know. Not know. Just, I don't know. That answer seems to be showing up a lot more lately. I kept my stop short. Fuel first, then bathroom, then back to the bus. I didn't want to leave it sitting too long with the doors open or anything half secured. I've started noticing that once you're parked, you become part of the environment in a way that's hard to undo. People start seeing your vehicle as something that belongs there. I don't want that. Not right now. While I was fueling, I noticed a state trooper come through slowly, not stopping for anything, just passing through the lot and scanning it before moving on. No lights, no urgency, just presence. I don't know if that's reassuring or not yet. I got coffee mostly out of habit. It didn't taste right, but I don't think that's the coffee's fault. Before I left, I walked the bus one more time just to make sure nothing had shifted while I was inside. Everything was still secure, but I tightened one of the cabinet latches anyway because it felt loose even though it probably wasn't. There's a difference between loose and feels loose, and I'm not in a position to ignore either of them right now. When I got back in the driver's seat, I sat for a minute without starting the engine, just watching the other vehicles. Nobody was really staying still for long. People were coming and going faster than usual, not chaotic, just efficient. Like everyone had decided the less time spent in one place, the better. I think I understand that instinct. I'm going to keep heading north until late afternoon, then figure out where I'm stopping tonight. Probably somewhere larger again. I don't think I want to try anything quiet yet. Not because I'm worried, just because I don't have enough information to prefer quiet over visible right now. And I'd rather be somewhere I can see what everyone else is doing. I ended up stopping at a truck stop last night. It wasn't my first choice, but it was the most practical one. There were already a few larger vehicles parked when I got there, so I just picked a spot off to the side where I wasn't blocking anything and called it good enough. I didn't sleep great. Not because anything happened. Nothing did. It was just a lot of noise in a way I'm still getting used to. Engines running and shutting off at different times, doors opening and closing, people moving around outside at odd hours. Nothing unusual for a place like that, but I think I've gotten too used to the quiet over the last few weeks. The bus held up fine overnight. Everything's still where I left it, locked, latched, no issues, but I could hear the jars and the underbed storage more than I expected to. Every time a heavier vehicle came through or someone pulled in nearby, they'd shift slightly and make that soft glass on metal sound again. Not enough to be a problem, just enough that I noticed it every single time. I'm going to have to fix that packing setup soon. Maybe I can weave a blanket in there. This morning I got moving early again. I didn't stay longer than I needed to, just enough to check systems, make sure nothing shifted overnight, and get back on the road. I'm still heading north. That part hasn't changed. The plan now is to keep pushing up through northern Florida and then cut through Alabama rather than taking a more direct route towards Georgia. I don't want to end up anywhere near Atlanta if I can avoid it. Even without knowing exactly what's happening, it feels like the kind of place everything would naturally funnel toward, and I don't want to be a part of that flow. Too much traffic, too many people, too many things happening at once. The radio's been different since I left this morning. There's still music sometimes, but it keeps getting interrupted, not just by ads or traffic updates. Actual broadcasters cutting in to give information. Short updates repeated across different stations, like they're trying to push the same message out everywhere at once. Most of it's still vague. Hospitals are asking people not to come in unless absolutely necessary. Emergency services are asking people to only call if they have no other options. And there's been more language about response times being delayed because units are being prioritized for, quote-unquote, confirmed critical incidents. That phrase keeps showing up. Confirmed critical incidents. It still sounds structured, but less stable every time I hear it, like the structure is holding, but just barely. I haven't heard anything that suggests things are fully breaking down. Everything is still operating, roads are still open, services are still running. But it's starting to feel like everything is doing its job while being pushed harder than it was designed for. Like it's all still working, just not comfortably. I keep the radio low most of the time. I want to hear what's happening outside the bus more than I want to hear someone trying to summarize it for me. The road itself is still moving normally enough. Cars, trucks, people traveling. Nothing that would look strange from a distance. But I'm noticing more patterns now that I've been out here longer. Less staying in one place, more people traveling with everything they own visible in the vehicle, more police presence in places that don't usually have it. I'm going to keep heading north until I can't reasonably keep going today, then find somewhere to stop again. Probably another large stop like last night, not because I like them, just because they make the most sense right now. I stopped again before it got fully dark. Another place like last night, just a different one. A larger truck stop off the highway, enough space that I wasn't forced into anyone's way, enough traffic coming and going that I don't feel like I'm sitting somewhere empty. I don't think I like quiet stops right now. They feel less safe than busy ones. The day was long enough that I didn't push much further once I started feeling the fatigue set in. I'm still adjusting to how different it is driving something this size for hours at a time. It doesn't feel like driving a vehicle so much as managing a moving space that happens to be on wheels. Everything holds up fine while I'm driving. It's when I stop that I notice everything again. The jars in the underbed storage shifted again today. Same sound as before. I tried to adjust the padding during one of my earlier stops, but I don't think I got it just right yet. It's not breaking anything, just reminding me it's there every time the road isn't perfectly smooth. I'll fix it properly when I have time. The radio has been harder to ignore today. There's less music now. Not gone completely, but it feels like it's being pushed out. More stations are switching over to updates, even mid-broadcast. Sometimes it sounds planned, sometimes it doesn't. The tone has changed. It's still controlled, but it's tighter now. Like whoever is speaking is trying to keep things inside a very specific set of words. I've heard the same things repeated all day. Hospitals are asking people to stay away unless absolutely necessary. Emergency services are asking people to limit calls to urgent situations only. Some stations have started saying response times are significantly delayed due to ongoing critical incidents across multiple regions. That wording keeps stacking. Multiple regions. Critical incidents. No detail beyond that. Just enough to suggest it's not isolated anymore. I haven't heard anything that sounds like collapse. Nothing that says things have stopped working. Everything still exists. It just feels like everything is starting to take longer to respond. Like the system is still running, but it's no longer keeping pace with itself. The roads were still active today, but the pattern is changing. More vehicles heading in the same direction. More people traveling with visible supplies packed into their cars. More hesitation at intersections, like people are making decisions twice before committing to them. I don't know what the full picture is yet, but I'm starting to understand that there might not be a single picture to get, just pieces of one. I'm parked now, I've checked everything twice already, even though I know it's fine. Doors are locked, cabinets are latched. Nothing shifted enough to matter. I haven't decided exactly how far I'll push tomorrow. Not yet. That's becoming a pattern too, not knowing how far I'll go until I'm already moving. I think that's just how it is right now. For tonight, I'm going to stay put, keep the lights low and listen to the road around me until I fall asleep. And then I'll do it again tomorrow.